Hello everyone, welcome to another beer review. I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel. Well, that's what I feel like. I feel dirty. I do, I feel unclean. I feel that I'm slightly kind of being a bit of a turncoat. But anyway, today I'm doing a Helles lager. And it's from the Edinburgh Beer Factory, and it's called Paolozzi. And it's named after Edward Paolozzi, who was a local hero apparently in Edinburgh. The inventor of the pop art was born in Edinburgh. Refreshing mass-produced everyday items into art and sculpture, he coined the phrase "sublime in the everyday." Paolozzi is our tribute to the great Scot, a 21st century take on a historic Munich style. Our award-winning lager has a perfect bittersweet balance and fabulously sparkling appearance. It's 5.2%, it's a 500ml can, and I think this was roughly about £2 actually. I'll put the details below, but it was actually, going by the style of the can, it was actually a heck of a lot cheaper than what I thought it was going to be. I'm sure it was roughly about £2 or slightly under £2. And yeah, like I said, it's made by the Edinburgh Beer Factory, which is in West Barnes, East Lothian. So it is, and that's really it. There's nothing more to really say. But when you look at the gaudy colour can, you think, oh, he's a sellout. Look at him, he says he wouldn't do piss like that. And that's why I feel unclean. And a bit of a sellout. But anyway, shall we see how good this really is? Right, let's pour it and see what we get. Sugary pants. Yeah. Now straight away as I'm looking at this, the first thing that's come into my head, just as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, did I actually look, well, it's a wee bit lighter, maybe. But it's not as light as a Helles usually is. Helles is usually a lot lighter than that, a lot paler in colour. That's a bit kind of more getting towards a kind of golden straw colour. So when they say they're doing a Munich style Helles beer, maybe I should actually go and look at one and actually see what it looks like, because straight away I'm kind of thinking, and it's about, yeah, an easy one finger head, and yeah, smell wise, not bloody much. Jesus. Maybe a little bit of grain, and that's it, and a little bit kind of slightly kind of sweetness there, slightly kind of syrupy sweetness. That's all I'm getting. What's in this? Does it tell you that? Contains barley. Is that it? Fucking hell, that's just allergies. You're not going to give us an ingredient? I always wonder when they don't give any ingredients, you start kind of thinking, what shit have they put in it? Especially when you get a slightly kind of syrupy sweetness smell. But anyway, and it seems to be not a bad head, it's not so prawn crackerish. So, let's see what it tastes like. First impressions is it's on the sweeter side. It's not overly sweet, but it's slightly on the sweeter side. No bitterness there at all, and it just feels like there's just no resistance. It's very light in flavour. In fact, almost to the point is that what flavour is the thing going through my mind right now. Apart from the bitters, apart from the two things, is that I'm not picking up any sweetness and bitterness, and I'm picking up maybe a little bit more sweetness than I expected. Especially if it was supposed to be that. Although, I mean, I've had some hairless beers in Germany that have been slightly on the sweeter edge. Sometimes German beer can be like that. But yeah, as usual, again, with most German, well, nearly all German lagers, you don't really get any kind of hoppy kind of bitterness in them at all. That's one thing that you just don't get, but go by the look of it, it's not too bad. Mouth feel, it still feels like a lager, but it's at the lighter end, really at the lighter end. So again, it makes it easier drinking. I'm not saying it's like an ale, but it's closer towards being an ale. Like I said, it's a little bit more of a mouthfeel than I did an Eastern European beer. It was a Jubilee beer by Vulvas Engelman, that was brewed in Kaunas, and I said it's very kind of typical of more Eastern European kind of beer and lagers, where it has quite a lighter mouthfeel, getting closer towards an ale, and makes it very easy drinking. This is quite close to that. Not 100% here, but it does not taste like a normal British lager in mouthfeel wise. It's a lot lighter in the mouthfeel. There is carbonation there, but it's not really providing any resistance. The sweetness again, bringing a little bit of bitterness there, just a little bit there now. Again, as your mouth gets acclimatised, some flavours will die down, some flavours you'll start to kind of maybe pick up. Maybe a slightly kind of lemon kind of feel to it. Ever so slightly has maybe a little feel of, but not of the kind of the skin so much. Maybe a little bit of the kind of slightly lemon juice. You know, it feels like, you know, we used to do the Corona with the lemon wedge in it. Not Corona, Sol. We used to do Sol, when we used to put the lemon wedge in it. Sometimes you get a little kind of light lemon edge to it, and maybe getting slightly a light juicy kind of edge to it with some lemon juice edge. But actually overall, it's actually a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. It's drinkable. I could imagine me drinking it on a hot summer's day, not on a night in December, when it's bloody Baltic outside and I'm wrapped up like a bandit on the inside of the house. But yeah, overall it's actually a lot better than what I thought it was, especially going by the gaudy can and everything else. So yeah, I've got to be fair to it. I mean, it's still a lager. It's not my favourite drink in the world, and it's not my first choice. But at the end of the day, it's actually not a bad one. To be so honest, it's actually not bad at all. Just, I would say, for my own taste, it's just that little bit sweeter than I would actually want. I'm not saying it's overly sweet or it's really sweet, but I always like my beers with more of the kind of bitter edge to it, so I feel that this one is just a little bit sweeter than what I would actually want in a lager. But I'm sure for a lot of people that'll be right up the street. They want that little bit of sweetness, that little bit of kind of, and it does go with the lighter feel as well. Of body wise, it's okay, it's a lager. I wouldn't say it's lacking body, I wouldn't say it's tasting watery, but how much body do you expect to get from a lager anyway? But yeah, I would say it's kind of bang average from the body point of view, flavour wise. Not the most intense flavours, but they're enough there, and they feel kind of interesting enough that, yeah, you could have a few of them. And yeah, I would probably say it's one of the better lagers I've tasted from the UK for a long while. And I would say that, yeah, if you're into lager and everything else, then this would be a better option than maybe going for your mainstream piss waters. One, you'd be supporting a smaller brewery, and two, for me, it feels like a better product, which wouldn't be fucking difficult, I'll be totally honest, but just overall, not just with the kind of how it tastes and how it feels, but overall it just feels it's a better quality product anyway. But again, that wouldn't be difficult. But yeah, just it's got a nicer mouthfeel. It's got some, I'm not going to say wonderful flavours, but it's got some nice attributes in the flavour point of view. So a bit down this flavour. Start off, you get a light kind of light malt. I'm not going to say there's no caramel to it or toffee and that type of stuff, because it's not that type. So what you're just doing is getting a slightly kind of malty edge with that little bit of sweetness and a bit of grain, and that's your kind of, but it's a decent kind of level. That's where you kind of notice it, because as it moves from the kind of front of the mouth to the mid tongue, the grain slightly drops off a wee bit. The malty kind of flavour, just kind of malty edge to the flavour kind of slightly drops off, but the sweetness doesn't. So while the sweetness is okay and fine, in my view, at the front of the mouth when everything is there kind of backing it up and all being together, just when the intensity just slightly drops a bit with the other two flavours, it just kind of makes the sweetness kind of stand out a little bit more than I want it to. But it kind of rides that way through the kind of mid-tongue till about the kind of back end of the mid-tongue, and you start kind of slightly picking up little kind of light lemony accent. But like I say, it's more about, like, kind of feels like more of a juice rather than a kind of pithy citrus kind of edge to it. And overall, it's okay. It just feels, for me personally, just a little bit sweeter than I'd want it to be. And then as it starts to kind of move into the kind of back of the mouth and the aftertaste from the mid-tongue, you start getting little accents of bitterness. It just like feels like it's the tail end of this kind of slightly lemony edge. These little kind of lemony accents, it's like a kind of an echo of that, but more from a slightly bitter. But again, no intensity to it, it's very light. And then it just kind of, everything just kind of dissipates. But the main flavour that goes from front to back is this sweetness. And as flavours come in, it becomes a little bit more controlled. As some flavours leave, it just becomes a little up on the intensity. And for me, just in certain points, it just, my own personal kind of view and taste, it's just a little bit more than I would want it to be. But like I said, there'd be other people that actually be quite happy with that, so that's why I've got to be kind of honest. But yeah, as I'm drinking it, that kind of little bitterness at the back end is becoming a little bit more prominent with every sip. And overall, it's quite nice, and it does kind of slightly balance out that little bit of sweetness that I feel in certain areas of the mouth. It's a bit sweeter than I want it to be. But yeah, overall, it's actually quite nice. Obviously, I'm going to really review this as a lager. I'm not going to review it as an ale, because let's be totally honest, if I reviewed it as an ale, well, in the same kind of realms as kind of ales and everything else, then, well, let's be totally honest, lager doesn't really stand up to it, does it? So I've got to kind of review it as a kind of lager, same as I do with nitro stouts and everything else. But if you look at it from a point of view as mainstream piss water is between 3 and 4, and I'm talking about the kind of main ones. There is ones that are into the 2s and everything else and all that type of stuff, but if you look at them as a whole, they're kind of on average in the kind of 3 to 4, with obviously ones lower than that. And yeah, I would say this is actually not too bad. It's actually, I would say it's above average, just because it's got a nice mouthfeel. The flavours in general are quite nice and quite pleasant, and overall it just feels that it's a better product, let's be totally honest, and it's probably, like I said, one of the better lagers I've tasted for a long time. So for that I'm going to give it a 5.5. Yeah, I'm being quite generous. People might think I'm actually nice. Fuck off with that idea. But yes, I'm going to give it a 5.5. It's not too bad. I mean, it's a decent enough alcohol content as well. For something that's easily drinking, it's 5.2. If I remember right, it's roughly about £2. So at the end of the day, you get yourself a few cans of this. You get 5 of them, and you get yourself well on the way to a happy time quite easily. If you drink all 5 of them at 5.2%. So, but the problem is it's very easy drinking because there's no resistance really. And it's that kind of thing that I get with Eastern European lagers and beers, that some of them are just, they're higher beer content or alcohol content, and mouthfeel is so light. It's dangerous. I mean, there's no resistance, and with this, it's very much in that kind of similar vein. This is way too easy to drink. The thing, for me personally, what gives me more resistance than the mouthfeel is the sweetness. The sweetness is slightly holding me back because I just feel it's a bit too sweet for me. But if people like a kind of more sweeter edge kind of lager, then this is right up your street, and it's very easy drinking, and you don't actually feel like you're drinking a 5.2% lager. So yeah, so it's 5.2%, 500ml can. It's roughly about £2. I think it's just slightly under £2 if I remember rightly, but obviously I'll put all the details down below in the beer facts. But yeah, why not give it a go if you're into kind of lagers and you like something a bit more kind of easy drinking, slightly on the more of a sweeter edge, but a decent kind of alcohol content and very sessionable, then this is probably right up your street. So it's 5.5 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Cheers, and bye for now.